Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings here and such. Yeah, somewhere in my general location, wherever that may be in the future, which, I'm still not prepared for moving. Still, just anyway. Ew. Ew. Anyway, so yeah, I don't have anything new, of course. There's just nothing to say. It hasn't been sort of said, and so you're just saying, okay, I'm going to say it some new way. Oh, how fascinating. Um, and so it's the internet is getting lame like that. Um, there really is hard to find anything, you know, that, to hold on to. Um, Everything seems weak and feeble, and you know, any rational conversation just doesn't really exist. It's just all this bullshit that people are caught up in playing the game, and any conversation about how reasonable it is to play the game, nah, nobody's having that. So it's just not a good time to be a serious person on Earth. Because it's not a planet of serious beings. You know, seriously stupid, seriously robotic, monkey-like, stupid. Yeah, not very complex in their activities on this planet. Just chasing their comfort. Um, that's it. And that's just made out of when you have a little perspective, you see it's all just made out of bullshit. The romantic notions, the glory moments of we defeated the empire. you you have your little victories in life, um, and you have a ton of these mediocre moments, and then more than your share will happen. In terms of, it always seems like more than your share of failure, and any serious contemplation will lead you to the conclusion that, oh yes, this is quite ludicrous. What a waste! All this to just end up dead. Um, just and dead through a process of uh, horror and indignity. So yeah, it's horrible. It's nothing. There's no good ending here. There's no. I mean, even if we can get out gracefully, we still lost so much. Yeah. So yeah, it's depressing to be aware of the game. Just the silly pulls. The silly. They're pushes, right? Everything's push. you know, um, of just existing for these sort of trivial psychological reasons, motivated. So these are, I'm showing some paintings from when I used to paint more. More than now, which is not at all. Um, but even that was a psychological activity, the competition within yourself of saying, it doesn't look quite right, it doesn't look quite right. So it's a little bit of a contest to see if you can get to look right instead of wrong. Um, and, again, for what purpose? Just I mean more just psychology. Oh, maybe I can make money doing this. Oh, maybe I can feel accomplished by doing this. And that's all that's really driving us, is some sense of winning some little battles, um, righting some wrong. And you could argue that most people are just wronging some right. They got it backwards. So, yeah, so that's all I got is the same perspective and trying to understand how to make it possible for people caught up in the game to hit that pause button. Just wait. Just what exactly am I? What's my contribution to this? Am I feeding, a monster? Am I feeding something that's just going to harm and hurt things? Am I perpetuating it? And clearly, the breeder should understand that's all they're doing. Just sentencing some more people to go through the stupid drama. And some people will go through it in just horrendous ways. Again, and I've seen people do this. They do it right in your face. They see the horror happen to somebody close to them, and they walk right into it and say, I'm going to play the same game. I've saw somebody lose as bad as they can lose. I mean, I've seen them impaled right through their eyes with the spikes and shit, and here they are saying, yeah, I'm going to throw a kid into it. Go ahead. You're just, how can people be that blind? I mean, it's just, how can they be that so distracted that they can't say for a second, oh, wait a minute, can I find some other way to feel like I'm playing a good game than to, just create more victims? That's all they're doing. But like I said, you really can't have the conversation because they're too defensive people, too defensive of their desires and their preferences and their attachments, and they all think they're very not only complex, but that they're somehow sacred. Their sacred horniness, their sacred ambition, their sacred addictions. And so they won't even, can't have the conversation because, they feel it's just a judgment, and for the sake of judging, which it isn't. It's judgment for the sake of protecting victims, and they don't get that part. And you can't evade the fact that it is a judgment. You're basically a terrorist, playing this game with children. You're child molesting. It's a truth. They're not your property, even if they come out of your womb. It's you have no rights here. Your responsibilities is all you have. You don't have any rights. So if you're going to impose this thing, you have to be quite certain that you have magic powers and you can fix anything that goes wrong. And if you don't have those magic powers, you got no rights. It's just bullshit. So what contribution can I make? Obviously, from this position, I can't make any. So unless I do something interesting, I don't know, wear a gay hat or something, do whatever the song and dance is, right? I'm not willing to sing it or dance it. Even if I knew what the dance was, I probably wouldn't do it. I don't, I'm selfish that way. Like everybody else, I suppose. I suppose if I could really put it into my head that I have to do it for the cause, I suppose that maybe I could then. Broke the tip off of this. I wonder where the tip is now. Probably ate it. Anyway, so, all right. So so I'm just sort of sitting here, waiting, and trying to think of how I can help opportunity knock, kind of thing. And I have some notions of ways that this might work out, in the sense that if I can do the physics thing, then I'll gain some credibility I'll gain a voice, let's say, in the world, and I'll certainly use it, and you know, with every opportunity I have to use it. Um, and yeah, who knows what could come with that and turn out. So you know, there's ways this could work, but from here, it's not going to work because yeah, I'm just talking to people who've been searching for it. You have to really kind of hunt through an awful lot of bullshit to find me, and the people looking probably don't need me. You know, they probably already have enough capacity to recognize the simple truth. Maybe they can't. Maybe they can't order and compile as many arguments as I've compiled, or maybe they can't reduce it to some statements or theater that could mean anything. And even I don't do that in a sense, right? There's the gray videos where you know, some good portion of me is taken as a clip and it's made more dramatic and improved, added value and such. So, you know, but yeah, there's only winning and losing. You know, there's only either you're gonna succeed or fail, and you know, as it looks now, I'm failing, and I don't like it. But I also understand that what I'm trying to do is, you know, it's just not it's not an easy thing to accomplish. Few humans in history have ever done it in terms of being able to put their influence. You know, I was going to say put their mark, but it's not really a mark. It's just the mark of influence, the capacity to have an effect, and to be a catalyst, right? So that's all you can really be. Is you're just a messenger. You're the message is so much more important than any other aspect of my function. Is how I can, and like I said, the message doesn't even have to be a word. It doesn't even have to be a sentence. It just has to be an effect, an effect that inspires in people a chain of thinking, an ordered process of logic that might enable them to recognize that their brain has just been going so fast and they're so been caught up in reacting to the world that they haven't taken any time to analyze first what they're reacting to and how they're reacting, and to appreciate that those mechanisms are, many of them, crude and built into us biologically, and that they're not rational mechanisms, and that our brain tries to trick us in a sense. It tries to endorse what we're doing by rationalizing, by making excuses for our excuse making. I do it all the time. You know, I'll do better tomorrow. You know, I procrastinate and I make justifications for my limitations, for not doing the things I probably should do, but I don't want to. And we all need to grow up in that sense and be always aware of how we're cheating. And you know, we're still playing a much better game. You can, you know, you could. So that's sort of a rationalization again. As soon as I called myself a cheater, I had to come up with some defense that, oh no, I'm not really cheating. I mean, it is true. I don't think. Okay, the minor rationalizations I'm guilty of are at any scale comparable to the insane rationalizations. most people are using to justify their recklessness and the harm they're causing, and will be the cause of. So yeah, so the message is kind of simple if you really look at it. It's back to the Monty Python lyrics, right? Life's a piece of shit when you look at it. So if you really examine the shit in your brain and you examine the shit in the world, you can see that, yeah, it's shit. It's all just shit. It's all just garbage, junk, trash, nonsense, rubbish, silly little ego shit. Desperate insecurities, desperate need to prove something, just emotional rubbish. And the world is just full of a bunch of, it's just such a bad diagram of how to do something right. It wastes so much. Everything it does, it squanders so much of the value, doing everything the wrong way. The expedient one, the one that satisfies the impression. Very fancy book covers, not very good book kind of thing. Humanity's spending all of its resources to make a nice book cover, but the book is shit. Okay. Yeah. That's agreeable. So again, it's just trying to get people to kind of re-experience what they've already experienced, to re-experience it in a light where they're not making justifications, and where they recognize that, well, what if I didn't have that deprivation, that need, that hunger, that thirst? Would I do the same thing? Would I have acted so aggressively, or would I have done you can just say logically, no, of course, without the desire, I wouldn't have rationalized the price paid. I wouldn't have made excuses for it. I wouldn't have done any of that stuff. And you can just see it in how people their behavior. They fall in love with somebody else's wife or something, or do something, and then they end up doing some kind of crazy thing. Sabotaging people, doing all kinds of crap to get what they want. And none of that would have happened if they didn't have this, this need. And the need is the only thing, that makes it possible for them to make excuses. And the need is always just kind of stupid. Like, somebody's told you half the story. Like they're telling you the 3 bear story, and they just say, no, you gotta pay to hear the rest. Just give you three quarters of the story. It's like if that's how life fed you, was like you get to see half of a movie. That'd leave you very unsatisfied. So much of what we're doing is just because we've invested in it. There's a story, and we don't want to leave in the middle of the story. We don't want to be. We don't want to miss out. We need the ending. We need the happily ever after. And the joke on people is they hang around and it doesn't get better. The movie gets a lot worse, insanely worse. So their expectation was, oh yeah, I'm going to hang around to see something good happen, and what you're going to hang around to see is something very bad. Painful to watch. And you can sort of figure that's the odds. That's the game we're playing. It's not a free lunch in any way. Very expensive. And a little bit of thought, you can figure all that out. You could say, why would I regenerate it? And if you're so vain that you kind of think about it as you being preserved by other people being preserved, then you should be able to figure out that those other people aren't you. They aren't anything like you in most cases. 99% of people, so to speak, yeah, I couldn't see anything familiar in their eyes or in their life or in their behavior or in their attitudes or in their politics or in almost anything. Very little to see of myself in them. And I'm sure other people can notice that. So why do they want to perpetuate something that isn't even... It's like combining two wrong movies. It's like saying, well, I want to complete the story, but you started with one, The Godfather, and then you're going to end with Mary Poppins. The two movies ain't going to match. I don't know, weird metaphor, analogy, whatever. So I've been saying so a lot. Just because it's things have gotten to that kind of point where it's a stalemate with the belligerent stupidity of people. And it's not so much that you have to make the argument, it's just that you have to first make it possible for them even to hear what you're saying. And they just can't get it right. It's not even a pessimism optimism thing. It's just a way of describing reality. And you're saying, how can people deny the perfectly describable reality? How can they deny their own, what they can see of their own motivations and how crappy they are, and how their thoughts are so maniacally self-focused, and that everything else is sort of a pretense. Everything else is anything when they're pretending to be good people, they're kind of pretending they're doing it on purpose. Oh, I know I'm supposed to be good and people are watching, so I'll do good things because I know I'm supposed to. It's my obligation. So, I have to satisfy the obligation. And there might be a tiny bit inside of them that's saying, do it not just because you might get caught, but do it because, you really want to do this honestly. You want to have some integrity. So to have a little bit of self-respect, you can't be too big a fucking liar. But it's not that hard to, look inside and notice how, what a simpleton, your basic nature is. And it's just a dumb animal almost. And because your intelligence is riding on that animal, it allows itself to be used and manipulated to make excuses, because your intelligence ends up somehow being tied to that ego and needing to defend the monster that it's riding on. And it is riding on an idiot, a needy, selfish, crudely motivated shithead. So those kind of perceptions or ways of looking at yourself, I think, work very well at humiliating you and making you more conscious of the fact that this isn't a game. And if we're going to call it one, And we just have to recognize it's not a game worth playing. It's too expensive. You just don't lose in a sense. Oh, your piece is taken off the board. That's not how you lose. It's real, not, it's not a video game. You just hit the restart button, and you just pretend to go, ow, that hurt. No, there's no pretending in the real game. So again, yeah. So I'm just lamenting. I'm lamenting, just out of a kind of low-level frustration. I was going to say before that they were only motivated by like passion and anger. Just to kind of point out that it's anger at ourselves, our failures, or it's a funny kind of mechanism. But it almost gets too cliche, when you try to reduce it too much to too simple a concept. To say all we have is love and hate sounds kind of right, but it's probably not enough words. It's probably not fair to the complexity of the mixture of what we fear and what we desire. See, that's love and hate, right? So it always does come back to the things, pushing and pulling. And if you really think about it, all the pulls are really pushes of insecurity, pushes of I need to be redeemed, or I need to be respected, or I need to be loved, or I need, needing. So then that creates the low pressure that pushes you into the world. So lots of metaphors like that you throw in these kind of conversations. So again, so it's a matter of thinking, strategies, means to the end, and I'm still. I don't see how you get there from here. So I guess I'm saying that serious philosophy isn't going to get the job done. Human-to-human conversation isn't going to get the job done. The David Benatar style, let me just write this in words. Frankly, too many words in his case for too few a concept. Beyond saying we have an optimism bias and essentially acknowledging that all the goods are basically removal of a bad. That the positives we're sensing are really just a removal of our loneliness or our deprivation. Our negative state is fixed, and we call that a positive, when it clearly is one, but it's only a positive because you cleaned up a bad thing, not because you actually made a real positive. It's only positive relative to the deprivated state. You have to have the need first for there to be any. You have to make a hole and then fill it in. It's just that kind of argument. It's all negative stuff. You have to be sinking in the quicksand to feel really great about getting out of it. That kind of thing. So you can see I'm struggling with saying something, because there's so much of it I have said. And it's spread over way too much. If it was jam or something, there's a strawberry there, and then there's a strawberry way over there, and there's one way over there. You know, the got to make it a stronger presentation even. But again, like I said, there's not too many examples of people being able to communicate honestly and directly with the human race. What you usually have to do is do it in some theatrical way through political drama or fake news or through artistic expressions. But those are really hit or miss. You know, it's very strange what things get noticed, right? You could go through the history of art, and there's certain paintings, and you say like Whistler's Mother or something. You're saying, how the hell did that ever become something we actually talk about? You know, and it just has to do with who knew who. You know, what famous person paid how much for it. You know, all that kind of crap. It didn't really have anything to do with the art itself. I mean, would Van Gogh be something we appreciate to the level we appreciate it? People do. You know, if it didn't have the backstory of crazy artist and cutting off ears and blowing your brains out and all that crap. If it didn't have all that crap, you know, would it be as meaningful? Would people spend enough time to appreciate it, to recognize that it was more than just paint? You know. Well, anyway, I'm just saying that's a tricky question, right? If you could redo history and you just pull a couple of the strings out, you know, a couple of the associations people had, and where would they be today? Who would have Michelangelo been without the Pope? You know, still a great artist, but would he have had the means to make that? Would he have had the means or the motivation to create as much art as he did, to become as good as he did through the fact that he did so much? You know, because maybe he would have gotten a lot lazier, or maybe he had to have a regular job, you know, and could only paint spare time. Completely different story. And so that's one way of just looking at you know, just how delicate this strategy part is, because your strategy can't just be some logical strategy. That here, like the Benatar strategy, you just make the argument, give it to people, and say, there, I win. It doesn't work. You really do have to find a way to beat them over the head with it, and you have to do it in ways that create enough emotional impact to make the words memorable. You know, there has to be a bomb has to go off or something while you're making your speech, right? I mean, that's another way to fame, is to, you know, have some incredibly embarrassing thing happen to you or some other thing, you know, and it works. And so how do you strategize for that kind of crap? The idea of well, I'm going to deliberately create a random act. So that's where we get the fake news, because you see a lot of people are trying to do that. They're trying to engineer what looks like random, you know, oh, it just happened. And it's all engineered to manipulate people. You can almost say that some of these GoFundMe websites, that's all they're doing is encouraging people, you know, to just make up stories, just talk shit, and mold it into something that impresses people. And that's all you need to do, is make an impression. You win an argument by, you know, you sell more product by, you know, painting it the right color. I mean, that's the sad truth. that matters. It matters more. So it really is, you do have to waste an awful lot of your energy, not on writing the book, but on decorating the cover. And that's just obstacle one. Once they open the book, you have to have like pop-up pictures, you have to have stuff that happens so the words jump out at them. Oh, man. I still have kind of a feeble back. Oh, just that quick motions. Shit. Yeah, so that's another one of these things you learn, it's like you can always have in the back of your head that there's going to be some you're going to hurt something in such a way as that sometimes it's not going to get better. And, which as you live, oh yeah, I got better, and I'm sort of having one of those kind of scary experiences where, it's just not getting better, as better as it needs to get. And, what if you had to live the rest of your life like this? Ooh. But yeah, that's what comes with this getting older thing. And not an appealing prospect. Just even having to recognize that you have to start being careful, about everything. Because, you're just not the man you used to be. And, it's taxing on your productivity to be cautious, to do things slowly and carefully. It's really annoying when it's not your nature. So, but yeah, that's all I'm really trying to do, right? Is to make it somehow stick in somebody's head, to say it in such a way, or just to put it in such words that, you say something like, robot, you're a fucking robot, you're a fucking robot, you're a fucking robot, you're a fucking robot. That's, and then it just rolls in their head. Oh yeah, I can see where every program inside of me has something to do with the crap that happened to me in my life, and that I'm still 12 years old in so many ways and still fighting a bunch of fake demons. And the psychology is just rolling along, and it's a bad record, a bad record written by a lot of circumstances that have made me hate certain things, and both what I love and what I hate have been defined by forces I didn't get to pick. And by personal experiences that have tainted my perspective in some way or another. And always having to appreciate that maybe that's what's driving people to some extent, is that they haven't had those experiences that you just that you can't avoid the lesson they teach. And so you're just really arguing with people who just haven't had the experience, and so therefore how can they appreciate? But you got to say that an awful lot of people have had lots of bad luck, and they're still pretending they're winning, and that it's a winnable game, like somehow they're going to eliminate bad luck in the future, which isn't going to happen. Yeah, so it's probably enough. There's another so. That's like 20 so's. Yeah. So, I'm thinking, processing, trying to see if there's a handle to grab on this idea of influence being meaningful, being worthy of people's time, being worthy of people's conversation, and how to foster that or seed that, fertilize that kind of better transition. But again, the medium itself is just so obnoxious to it. It's just, you just don't see it anywhere. There's so little compelling conversation taking place in the world. It's all so redundant, and I don't even, it's all this distraction crap. The stuff that doesn't matter gets all the attention. Yeah, and there's just so many people caught up in so many magical ways of viewing what we're being processed by. And so they're turning it all into fairy stories. Redeeming, somehow there's redemption in just the adventure itself. I mean, it's just so. How can anybody believe that? Like somehow they're going to go to some Valhalla somewhere and talk about all their great wars and, how many of their best friends they watched die horribly. I can't imagine anything more fun than that, right? Yeah, so how does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. So again, it should be like a so bomb. As soon as you say so a certain number of times, that's it. Foul. So even that kind of stuff, right? You can have lots of ways of thinking about life, and you could actually think about like the futuristic movies that have been made, like whatever, Rollerball, and different ones where you died playing a game, and that you can really see how part of our nature, really, I suppose part of male nature, does find some of that a very attractive way of playing. It's all or nothing, We make it a better world or we burn it down. But, this mediocrity, no. Fake Sagan sort of said something like that the other day. You'd rather have the war. Let's just have the war and get it over with. Fuck this. Let's see how many words we can say to each other to offend each other enough to finally have the war. How many times do we have to insult each other's mothers? You all smell like Trump anus. Was that just your mother smells like Trump anus. How far do we have to go before we finally just say fuck this? Let's have a real game where there's some hope of not just being stuck in this pigsty of diversity and slop. So that's a whole nother part of fighting the war, is the aesthetics of it, right? It's just not, it's sort of important, right? I mean, see, that's the thing, that's sort of like the Nazis. I guess they sort of kind of had that part under control, is that, well, if you look good, that's all that'll matter, right? That'll make you a better soldier automatically, right? Because you don't want to get dirty and I don't know, something like that. Just gives you that power feeling, I guess, right? And but if you're in a muddy trench full of poo and stuff, and you're gonna have the wrong attitude. You're not gonna feel like you're on the winning team, and you're gonna feel futile, and we're doomed, and that's not what you want. You want to feel like you got a chance, like you're, any second now, victory is right there to grab. So it's all built out of so much of this is built out of aesthetics and motivating people. Does require you to. I mean, you do have to make the theme park pretty and nice and smell like popcorn and stuff. You have to do these certain things to give people the right sensations, even when you're trying to just communicate. And yeah, that's one of the things I'm not too good at. Is that's sort of a smoke blowing. You gotta pretend to give a damn what the asshole has to say when all you're really trying to do is humiliate him. To figure out a way to make him look stupid, make you look smart, to win the argument, for the sake of the cause. Well, anyway. Yeah, so I think I'll give up now. There's lots of people I haven't communicated with anybody, just because I've been distracted by a lot of things, and trying to do physics at the same time. And I have to admit that the physics puzzle's a lot more fun than the convince the human race that their psychology is shit, and they got to let go of this notion that shoving living things into a meat grinder is a good idea. The puzzle of trying to get people to understand, to see the meat grinder and to recognize it's bad. It doesn't seem like that should be that hard to do. But anyway, that puzzle does seem so much sloppier to try to figure out, where physics, the pieces you can they can have resolution. You can see where they belong, and it's a little more fun as a puzzle because the pieces aren't flying up in the air and they're not changing colors and they're not warping and they're not being emotional and all that kind of crap. So it's a better game. All right, now I think I've done enough. So till the next time when I will, maybe I'll try to write something. I'll write some talking points and words with definitions, something like that. I'll put in a little more effort into pointing my presentation to the specific objective. Yeah, so I mean, all you really want to do is try to, 1 week you want to be a tank, and the next week you want to be a mortar shooter, and the what do you call those cannons? Cannons, they shoot like big bullets. I can't remember the name. Yeah. Well, anyway. So yeah, you want to be a good, very good transformer. No, bad movie. I was thinking of the Terminator liquid metal guy, but that really wasn't a very good model in my opinion. But yeah, you want to be as you want to be able to do whatever it takes, and it's going to take more than just talking. So it's kind of boring. So anyway, that's enough then. I mean, that's the simple concession that has to be made. It's just boring. People just aren't interested in philosophizing very much. Keep it superficial, stupid. That's clearly the motto. So anyway. Anyways, there's another so. I snuck it in there. All right. Done. It's done. finished. So till the next time. Ah, the Decky. I wonder what's become of her. Canada. Anyway, so anyway, till next time, when I'll try in some different way. Yeah, hopefully different. Hopefully just different enough. Okay. Time to hit the button.